All right, thank you. At this time, we will go ahead and call this workshop to order. Welcome, everybody, to the workshop, April 12th, 2022. We're starting about 20 minutes after here today. Val, please call the roll.
Commissioner Penny?
Here.
Commissioner Curry?
Here.
Commissioner Denio?
Here.
Commissioner Johnson?
Here.
Mayor Villa?
Here. All right, so we're meeting here today. We have a couple discussion topics, and I guess we can start on number one, the Veterans Memorial. We all know about the Veterans Memorial that we are building. Couple updates. I don't know if Joe has talked to you all about this, so I'll just talk about it. So, Chris, what's up? Oh, yeah, up on screen. So we've been discussing this for a long time. There's a lot of it's been delayed and delayed because of issues with people getting stones. So Mr. Forte and I reached out to the Lomans and said, hey, who do you know and how can we get this done? And so they gave us some contact information, and so we got in contact with a specific company here that will be able to deliver this within a good time frame, maybe 6 to 9 months or so once we get the designs up and going. So they did send us over some, for example, memorials that we could tweak and we could make our own. And so we're here to kind of discuss what the commission wants it to look like. And so we can go through the photos and we can all kind of talk about what we like and don't like. Obviously, we can't talk outside of these parameters here in the sunshine. So figured we should all get together and make sure we all kind of have the same vision, or at least come up with a plan so we can give this to the company. So I think, Val, you have all of the photos? Is that the only?
Oh, there was like 5.
Yeah, there was a zip folder. Oh, really? Did you open the zip folder? You did? Try to open that one up again. If not, I can try to send it to you. Brian, did Joe tell you anything that he wanted you to specifically talk about with
Just
this?
that as you look at them, keep in mind that they can all be scaled down in order to more appropriately fit our space. So if you see one that you like, they can modify it and make sure that it's something that fits our area. But you're right, there were about probably 7 or 8 in the attachment.
I only saw the one. I was only able to open up one.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9 pictures, but I think there's only like 6 different ones.
You can forward what you
Yeah.
sent to me.
Yeah.
Here, that'll be good.
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, because here's his email.
To V Manning.
Yes, please. And the only attachment I got was at the very bottom, which was this right here.
All right, I just forwarded it to you again. There should be a zip file in there. Let me make sure.
Let me see if I open this one.
That's it.
Okay,
That's it.
Okay.
Yep.
That's the one that you guys just saw.
Yep. It's a couple different ones.
I'll just minimize it and then we can always pull it back up.
Yep. And that one I don't think would work. I think it's too small. I think it's like a walking path monument. And we could just blurt out what we think about these. This one, I kind of envisioned this kind of being the shape of it, except for without the last 2 parts on the side. I do like the wave in the middle and then the one big piece in the center. And remember too that anything printed on there can be changed. We'll make it our own. We'll have whatever it needs to say on there. We can position the emblems of the military services anywhere on this. So I think we're looking more at the design of it, less of what it's going to say right now, but just kind of what the stone's going to look like.
My only concern with that one is that it appears to be 18 to 20 feet tall.
Yes, and so that would have to be scaled down, yeah. It wouldn't be as,
I just don't.
Wouldn't be 18
our
foot.
City Hall the building is so beautiful. I just don't want to put anything there that obstructs it, you know?
yeah. I
We
agree,
don't have that many names.
yeah. We got about a dozen names that we've found so far. That one is, I didn't like that one. I don't know if anybody else did. It's very rugged. It's like on one side it's uncut stone. It's really jagged. Did all the commissioners get to see these photos? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. That's kind of just a plain wall.
You know, and the other thing is that historically, it's been Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine, Coast Guard. Are we going to put the Space Force on there? 'Cause
Right.
I don't think anyone's died in the Space
No.
Force.
Yeah, I
Because all these have 6 emblems on them.
right. And most of these were made before Space Force was done, but I know that recently some have been made that don't include Space Force. And I don't know if that's because there hasn't been anybody to perish in those. So I don't know what the correct answer is.
I don't know what the politically correct answer is.
Right, right.
It's not gonna matter for the shape though, is it?
Yeah, because you either have 5 things or 6 things.
Yeah, but the shape of it's gonna be the same. I mean, it's just a foot less or,
Not if you pick something like that where there's
there was
5 or
different
6
ones.
different monuments.
Right.
well, yeah, that one, yeah.
So that was the last one there.
Okay, thank you.
Hold it back up.
Yep. So just off the bat, any thoughts want to get thrown out or
You didn't like the single one, the one that's the 5-sided one, even if it's bigger?
I just don't know how it would work out necessarily. It just seems so small to me, even if it was, I mean, it would have to be really substantial.
The space is just under 40 feet in diameter,
40
the
feet.
circle.
And that right there, that's about 4 foot high, so we'd have to make it
I
our
think
own.
that looks clean. It looks very, I don't know what word I want to use.
Direct, short and direct.
Well, it's not overpowering. I think the scale of I think what's troubling me is the scale. And I liked your comments on the one that had the rugged one, you called it. But if you look at the rugged one is laid out in the pattern of a star with the 5 points of the star. I'm sorry, the wrong one. But the last one then, the last one is like that. And one of them was in the pattern of a star. I think that takes up more of the space without being so overwhelming. There's 5 different or 6, whatever we agree on. I like the 5 because when you look at it from above, one of these was laid out as a star. That's just, the plain wall looks boring to me. The one just in the middle looks underwhelming,
Yeah.
but I like the last one if we could,
The last one was.
the very last one.
Watkins, and that's not.
And if you imagine, there's something in the middle of our circle, and then those 5 or 6 things are positioned around the perimeter of the circle. I think it's kind of
And a something in the middle?
there's something in the middle there. You know, if you did 5, you could put Space Force in the middle, 6 if you wanted to do that, or you could just do 6. But I think this is like a compromise. There's more granite or marble or whatever it is, but it's not a solid wall that takes away
Yeah, I
from the
like
building
this
behind it.
better than the solid wall.
I kind of like the idea of doing that and then having one in the middle too.
Well, you could have that single one in the middle with maybe the single one in the middle has the names on it, and this just has the services on it, you know, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine.
What do those have on them now? Can you see that close?
I think each one is a branch of the service,
Probably.
because there's 6 of them there, right?
Can't see them.
Yeah, but I didn't know what was engraved on
I
them.
think it's just their logo, like the,
Okay.
Right. And also the way I envision it, so if we're looking at this picture, imagine this is City Hall lawn. I'm imagining I'm looking at this from the street and City Hall is behind
Right.
Yeah,
that.
and I think this
Because-
would look great with that.
Yeah, yeah. And the reason is really because for Veterans Day and for all those services can be held there. I think it would be a picturesque
Yeah.
setting for everybody to see the
So you're
beautiful
not
City
opposite the
Hall.
wall,
And this-
You're in the space of the wall.
This is still very nice, but it doesn't take away, like you were saying,
Well-
from City Hall.
and Mr. Mayor, we talked about putting something in the middle, but if you imagine those ceremonies, maybe the speaker's in the middle, and everyone surrounds.
I think they have a
I think
flag
if we put
base.
something in the middle, it might get in the way.
Yeah, that's a flag.
That's a flag base and pole they have in the
This
middle.
right here is a flag base.
Right, but our flag is behind.
Yeah,
it.
Yeah.
it's further back.
These look like.
But that's what I'm saying, that's what's in the middle of theirs.
this
You're talking
looks
about putting it on the east side of the circle, so that you're looking at it that way towards City Hall? So just
I see those
taking
things
away those little
around.
walls?
Yeah, you're looking
Well, not
towards City
necessarily.
Hall, there. Where the trees are, would be City Hall.
Right, so where the walls are that we stood on for
Right.
the Easter egg hunt, they wouldn't be there anymore.
No, they'd be there. I would, in a perfect world, I'd add 2 more walls on the other side if you were gonna do it circle. So the stage is a round
And I
stage.
think where you're
Oh, there in
talking
front of
about allows for seating. If people want to go there and sit and think
half wall.
and, yeah,
That's
the
half
little,
walls.
where we were this weekend with the
Yeah.
Easter egg stuff.
Officially, though, it's not a bench because it's not
Well,
ADA.
These are benches right here, if you can see. This right here is a bench.
Right.
I didn't say it was a bench. I said the place where we were sitting.
Yeah, yeah.
Standing.
At your own risk.
Yeah, at my own risk.
I don't know, this is more than just one little thing in the middle, but not as overwhelming as those.
Yeah.
Other things just look,
Well,
Billboard.
and two, there are not a million, there are thousands of monuments like this out there. And I think I kind of got a vision of what you guys are talking about. Mine was different, but I think we can even come up with more scenarios like that and really consolidate it down and then hand it to this company and say, hey, draw
Yeah.
this up and come a lot closer to it. And we can have them give us some options for what we could do in the center. If it's
Right.
something like Danio liked, like that pillar thing, or if it's more of like a square piece.
Yeah, I mean, I like the pillar also.
We don't want to go to 2 of them.
And I think the idea of the names on a pillar,
well, the other thing is
Might be an
we
option.
could get a Boy Scouts who would engrave their names on the pavers.
Yeah, we do that.
I don't know that Boy Scouts would do that again.
All right, so, I'm
I think it's gonna take another couple
More discussion.
refining,
cracks at
you
it.
know,
This is
and
the
if you
first-
can get with Joe and get with the vendor and say, hey, let's design something like that.
This is the
And then we can
idea.
meet individually with
Yeah,
them.
Yeah.
let's tweak this for our needs and,
I agree, yeah. All right, well, let's do that, and then we can come back to this too.
You're okay with those 2?
That brings back to the members to me.
Yeah, yeah.
I just remember, I think that a lot of us should concentrate on the poor people in Vietnam and didn't make it back, you know?
Yes, sir. There's, I think if I remember correctly, the majority of those casualties are from Vietnam. I would say, I
So
think about half of them.
should we name the one that we're talking about? For the record, so, you know, if Joe's listening to this or whatever.
If we
happens.
should what?
Name which of the,
The Watkins one.
Watkins.
Oh, was it
Watkins, okay,
Watkins?
okay.
All right, Watkins. Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. All right, well, we'll come back at this, and honestly, we can do it at our next commission meeting at the end of the meeting if we have something more prepared and kind of take another crack at it and then really whittle it down. I think we'll have a good idea. Are there any further comments about the Veterans Memorial at this time? All right, let's move to panhandling. I don't remember who brought this item up. Was
I
it
brought it
you?
up. It was,
Okay,
you know, I know there's
take it away.
only so much we can do to restrict panhandling, but I believe since, you know, panhandling's been going on longer than any of us have been alive. But when it was when the homeless center was being created, and I truly believe that one of the major problems with panhandling are the givers. If you stop feeding the bears, they go somewhere else. So when I was out at Bed Bath & Beyond, which is Daytona, they had a sign right there at the intersection that stoplight when you come out onto ISB. And I took a picture of it and I left my phone at the house.
I've seen them before.
Basically said, you know, give your money to something better. And then when you go to South Daytona, they have signs that say, has panhandling with an X through it, you know, a hand with money and there's an X through it, like no panhandling. Donate your money to a local charity. And we really only have 2 areas that I see it, and the chief will tell you it's one of my #1 complaints when I talk to him, is that right in front of Crystals, and then occasionally at LPGA heading west at Nova. They'll be on those 2, the east corners, they'll be on the 2 east corners as you're going west.
And they'll be in the median
Yeah.
also there.
And so I don't know if it'll stop it. I don't think it hurts anything by putting the signs there. Maybe we educate some people.
And
Maybe some people think twice before they hand $1 out the window.
I think it might help people think, oh, okay, yeah, maybe I should give to a charity instead of handing the money out the window, not knowing what is going to be done with it. I mean, I like those signs when I see them. It's not that I don't think people should be helped or assisted. There are channels to be able to do that and ensure that they're receiving help that they need. I like the idea.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to stop someone from doing it. I think it's a guilt thing. You know, some people just have to say yes, and they're right there at their window. Some people do it because it makes them feel better. They hand the money. I don't know if a sign's going to do it, but it can't hurt, like you said, and it's a minimal expense. I mean, the cost of a sign, I don't know. We don't have
a sign
on here, but
We don't have a sign department anymore, but South Daytona said they made their own. I guess they have a sign department. Yeah, so.
So I think it'd be minimal, so I'm not against it. I think the question that Joe had, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Walker, was down
I think
where
the challenge,
Crystals is,
challenge
where
is going
to
to be
put
where
it.
do you put it? Where can you put it legally, and where will the property owner allow you to put it? Is it right away? So I don't even know if it's possible. It just looked like a good idea, not enforceable, but it didn't seem like a bad thing.
It'd be in their best interest, the property owner, they don't want people out there panhandling,
What do you
Yeah.
think, Commissioner Johnson?
right?
What do you think, Commissioner Johnson?
The biggest problem with panhandling is you don't know whether the people really need anything or not. A lot of them park their cars around the corner, come around them with a hand out, that probably have more than we do. And so I think that's a lot of the problem with it right now, you know. I don't mind giving money to someone if I think they really need it, but the ones that are trying to con you, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hot traffic, they even go to the interstate exits, you know, if they want to. Going off interstate exits and going on to the interstate exits.
I saw a guy in Norman yesterday at the McDonald's at Nova and 40.
Nova. Oh,
Yeah, right there at the Winn-Dixie, the old Winn-Dixie Plaza, the old neighborhood, right there.
They're doing a lot of it in Norman.
all right. Well, then I don't see any objections, so I don't mind handing this off to Mr. Forte when he gets back to kind of keep this on his radar, put it in the budget. I don't know if this is an immediate thing that you wanted to do.
No, I just thought, bring it forward when
Well, maybe Mr. Forte can look into where he can put them first, and then get back to us on that. And I don't mind the timing if we do it sooner than later. Any objection?
No.
All right, we will move to number 3, bike washes. And I believe you were the one that brought this one up.
I brought this one up for my, I guess, 10 years now, being on the city commission. I get complaints from residents. There's not as many now as there was several years back, about what they see driving up and down, and if we want to make it so nice, why do we allow that, and, the typical conversation. And my problem with it is Joe takes measures to write a letter every year for several years now, if I'm not mistaken, and asks them to follow certain, I don't want to say rules because they're not rules, but he has several asks of them. And they, for the most part, disregard it. But this year, I felt that it was carried a little too far by the couple of places that were holding the bike washes with the signs and the language on the signs and the attire some of the girls were not wearing. And I just believe that with all of the improvements we have done within this city to better our image, with Pictona, now Pictona 2 coming about, we're going to have tournaments there every month, a couple a month. We're going to be trying to attract people over to Pictona 2 when we want to hold our events, whatever they may be. We're going to be trying to attract people to our community. And whether it be during Bike Week, Biketoberfest, we're asking people to come to our community and see the wonderful things that we have to offer, the things that we have been able to do as far as positive change. And yet, we're allowing them to drive into our city and see inappropriate behavior, inappropriate language on signs, women that are just asked, throw on a pair of shorts if you're going to stand out and hold a sign. If you're washing, fine, wear the bikini. Because we see bikinis all over the beach, but that's what the beach is made for. It's not made for along the roadside of somebody holding an inappropriate sign and trying to attract business in a community that we're trying to improve the image. So that's why I brought it forward.
Mr. Walker, so this is allowed just in our special permitting for special events, is that correct?
Right
This is
now, we
only
see
allowed
it
use?
with Biketoberfest and Bike Week.
Okay,
Those are the only occasions where we have the bike washes and where it's been noticed that ladies in scantily clad clothing have been on the right-of-way, waving signs and trying to attract attention to get in for the bike washes to be used.
okay. And I know we discussed this briefly last time when it came up in a commission meeting, but so in your professional opinion, would it affect, if there is other car washes, bike washes by Boy Scouts, churches, whatever have you, by taking this away? Or what Commissioner Curry is proposing?
I think you'd have to be very careful in how you worded it, because if you were to come out and just say bike washes can't be something that the city is not something that the city is going to allow, well, then what happens when you do have folks from other charitable type organizations, Boy Scouts and, even Girl Scouts who want to raise money, for other activities? How do you make a distinction between them? So I think that we'd have to be very careful in how whatever we came up with, if it was to exclude that aspect of bike washes, in other words, the scantily clad ladies in the right-of-way. We'd have to do it in such a way that it excluded that, but not the other activities. But that isn't something that I've seen in my almost 5 years of being here. I haven't seen one case where we've had Boy Scouts or any other group that was looking to do bike washes. So it may not affect anyone at all.
Because they just don't get a permit.
It doesn't happen.
But-
I haven't seen
I
it.
haven't seen a
I know
car wash.
UBIC did one not too long ago.
That might,
UBIC.
oh,
But not on US 1.
No, not on US 1.
Which is a state.
Right. I think the main problem is US 1.
So is this specific to only US 1? Do you know that, Brian?
US 1 is the only location where I've seen them. You could state in the overlay that within our redevelopment overlay along US 1 and LPGA that you don't want to allow bike washes, but allow them in other areas of the city. So it depends on what your goal is. If your goal is to just keep them out of our CRA, the redevelopment corridor, that's one thing. If it's to keep them out of the city entirely, that's another issue.
Scott, there is legally no way to, I don't want to say discriminate, but discern from scantily clad or Boy Scout attire, correct?
Well, I think you could say has to have a full shirt and shorts on. But once you say it's okay to have a bikini, then that's where it opens the door. Like, okay, there's so many various styles of bikinis out there. What is okay and what's not okay? So that's the last time I remember we talked about it. That's where it kind of fell apart. Like, well, this type of bikini is okay, but this type's not, and that gets hard. So, I think you could say no bike washes, car washes along US 1, or bike washes and car washes on along US 1 are only allowed if they can't be visible from the street. They have to be behind, screened from view. All of the people doing it, they can put a sign up, but no one can hold the sign.
they're gonna be out there anyway, though.
Well,
But if you had a rule, you could go in and have a rule to enforce.
couldn't you say that to apply for a car wash or a bike wash, you would have to be a 501c3 or a nonprofit?
Yeah, but that wouldn't really, a 501c3 might be difficult for them to get, but a not-for-profit's easy to get.
Okay.
So if somebody wanted to skirt the rule, they could probably get a charity,
To sponsor
like
'em.
your BFF,
Right?
Yeah.
Bikers for First Amendment. So they would
Okay.
qualify.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
I think my advice would be, if you're gonna adopt something, make it easy to enforce. So that you don't get into the type of bikini or something like that. You gotta have a t-shirt on, you gotta have shorts that come down to mid-thigh, or something like that.
Mayor, I think the easiest solution would be to not allow it in the overlay district.
I do too.
Like
And that's
any car
kind
wash.
of what my whole point was, is the area of the overlay district.
So any car wash or bike wash, just not allowed at any time.
But then you got a lot of streets, it's not just US.
But they're not gonna happen anyway, like at least,
There's a lot of streets in the CRA, it's not just US 1 street. There's a lot of streets behind it over there, it comes off LPGA. Even the little street that runs down to Whack-A-Mole Way, that's in the CRA, right?
I don't
But I-
think Whack-A-Mole is
The
it?
very few car washes I've
The
seen,
Whack-A-Mole is?
I mean, when my kids were in high school, they did car washes at the school
or at the church.
or at the church.
That's
And the very few car washes I've seen, I can't remember seeing a car wash for what we might say is a desirable car wash. The kids, the Boy Scouts or the Girl Scouts. I don't think I've ever seen one on US 1.
There's a
I've
car
seen-
wash on US 1 that people drive in and pay money to wash.
Right, but but they'll be at a 7-Eleven or something. I mean, there's one on Daytona. There's that 7-Eleven there. Our Holly Hill basketball team had a car wash over there. They've had car washes at the YMCA. I think the easiest thing, like Commissioner Curry's saying, just don't allow car washes or bike washes on US 1. I intentionally, the Saturday of this last bike week, I drove from Rossmeyer's to Edgewater, 2 Saturdays in a row. I saw 2 bike washes. They were both in our town.
Wait, where'd you go?
I went from Rossmeyer's
Way out in Ormond.
to Edgewater. 2 bike washes on that highway, and they were both in our town.
On both
And-
Saturdays?
Yeah. And I don't, like some have said, it's nothing different than what you see at the beach. And that may be true, but I think it's the action. I think it's demeaning to women. I think having some rough and tough biker pull up and watch that girl wash his bike in a bikini is just demeaning. I think it's the time has come and gone for that type of action. If I had a daughter, I wouldn't want her doing it.
All right, well, and I see that, and just for the record, though, my stance is still going to stay the same, and it's not just to be disagreeable, just, I also think about those 2 businesses that maybe pulled in a lot of extra business that they're counting on every year. And I think I always come down on the issues to where I like to allow more, get us more out of the way, but it's, we can disagree and not be disagreeable. I do believe that we've seen that. I don't necessarily like it. I don't ever stop at it, and I agree with you.
Yeah.
Your comments, I think it is demeaning as well, but I also think those girls aren't forced to be there to do it, and they're choosing to be there on their own accord. So, but this has consensus to move forward at least to a city commission meeting, and I believe we would need to take action in a city commission meeting, correct?
If it's a change to the land development code, then that would go actually to the planning board for a recommendation back to you. If it's a different type of regulation, then it could be just by you.
So I think what they were speaking about was making a change to not allowing car washes in the overlay district completely.
What about the car washes that are in the overlay district?
I think they mean not actual car
Temporary.
wash.
Yeah,
Ice washes
they're-
or car washes?
Yeah, like
No, not
temporary.
the car wash that has a business.
Yeah, he's talking about
Like
temporary
temporary,
How are you gonna word it, though?
Because it's a permit, it's temporary permit. You don't issue a temporary permit.
You have to be so careful how you word everything. Well, there's gonna be a lot of people gonna come against you on it, huh?
yeah, the only thing we're looking at is for the bike washes.
Special events.
I just have
Yeah,
to look at it.
special events.
Be careful legally how it's worded out to do it.
Scott?
Simpson will fix
That's
it.
why we pay him the big bucks.
It's a special event permit is what we're looking at, not,
Oh,
Not-
just for the special.
yeah, not for 52 week a year.
During that week, that car wash in US 1 will be allowed.
No, they don't get,
I don't think it's just,
permit
are you talking
for
just for the
special
special
event, you know
events?
what I'm saying?
Or
They're
would you say,
business.
You're talking about a permit.
Well, if you,
That's what
I
Danny was
believe
saying.
if you were to have a bike wash and you didn't have a bike wash business, you would have to apply for a special event permit any time of the year to do that.
is that true, Mr. Walker? Okay,
We just don't have it happen, it happens.
It just doesn't happen. It just happens twice a year.
okay. Do you have the direction you think you need, Mr. Walker?
My understanding is that you would like to eliminate car washes that are of the nature that we see during Bike Week and Biketoberfest from the overlay, from those properties that are in the overlay that abut Ridgewood and LPGA, but you don't want to exclude them from all properties in the overlay. So any that are on perhaps State Street or Carswell, although they're in the overlay, they would be allowed to have a bike wash. You're looking to exclude them from just the properties that are on Ridgewood, LPGA, that abut those properties and can be seen.
Right.
That's what I'm thinking. I just think of, it's the image.
Yeah.
And that's our main street. Those are our 2 main streets. And
That-
it happens on State or Carswell.
It's not
It's a
gonna happen
side
anyway,
street.
but, yeah.
You're not gonna see it.
Yeah, you're not gonna see it. People would have to go out of their way to see it. You're not using our main thoroughfare through our city. And that's the only
I
area
think that leaves the churches
that I
and
have a
schools.
problem with.
So I think that's the majority's will. Like I said, I would probably oppose it, but I'll give it thoughtful consideration as I do everything, so. But that seems to be the direction of the commission.
Okay.
So that can come back to us at a later time. So with that, we are finished with all of our items for our workshop. We still do have 8 minutes if there's anything anyone want to bring up. Yes, sir.
Well, we could talk about it for the next 8 minutes or do it after the meeting for 8 minutes. So I brought this to Mr. Walker's attention. I've had several calls recently, concerned citizens about short-term rentals next to their homes. And I explained to them that Tallahassee has preempted any city ability to regulate these short-term rentals in any capacity unless we've had the law in place for, I think, 10 or 11 years now. So, but they are required to get a business tax receipt. And so the citizens said, well, what else do they have to do to make sure they're legal? And I asked Brian, I asked the people to come to the meeting tonight, and they said, we're not coming to the meeting, that's your job to bring it up. So I told them that I would bring it up, but I think our hands are tied. But I asked Brian if he could do a little research and just report back to us, and it might be helpful at some time. I know we used to have a newsletter, and I don't know if this can go in the water bill or anything, but short-term rentals, a big blast on your water bill, what's required? They gotta do this with the city, they gotta do this with the state, they gotta do this with the county. Other than that, as long as they do that, they're hands off. So I don't know if you can give us a Reader's Digest version of what you found today, Brian, or?
Sure. The requirements for having a short-term rental or to run your home as an Airbnb, you would need to get a license from the Department of Business and Professional Regulation. Then you would need to register with the county in order to pay the tourist tax. You'd also need to register with the DOR, the Department of Revenue, in order to pay the sales tax. And then you would get a business tax receipt with the jurisdiction. So right now, what we require is a business tax receipt. We are not, although we could require proof of all of those other steps prior to issuing a BTR. Some jurisdictions do, others do not. For example, I spoke today with a representative of the city of Ormond Beach. They require just the BTR. The other items are left up to the individual on their own, but they do a home rental inspection on the Airbnbs or the short-term rentals as a condition of getting the BTR. So if we want to tighten the reins, if you will, we can begin to require that folks provide us proof of licensure with the Department of Business and Professional Regulation, Department of Revenue, and with the county prior to giving them a BTR. Right now, we don't require that. They come in, they get their BTR, and they're out the door.
Do they need to get their BTR first, though, before they get those other certifications? Do you know that, if it's a chicken or the egg type thing?
I don't know that, I don't believe so, because they can go and get their license with the Department of Business and Professional Regulation. The others, registering with the county and registering to pay the sales tax, I don't believe that those are dependent on getting their BTR. But if they are, we can issue the BTR contingent upon receiving, or issue the BTR with the understanding that they're going to receive those other licenses and other registrations, and then give them the ability to move forward.
So to the Vice Mayor's kind of question, if a citizen calls me and says there's a short-term rental next door, and I call you and you say, well, they don't have a BTR on file, what then happens? Do you send out your code enforcement officers, and are they cited for not having one, or?
The code enforcement would be for not having a BTR and basically running a business without the business tax receipt. And that is something that we eventually take to the special master. So yes, they would be cited.
How often has that happened? Has it happened to your knowledge?
Specifically with short-term rentals, there's nothing that comes immediate to mind. It is a regular occurrence, however, to take folks to special master who have not obtained their business tax receipt and just don't
But
bother
not
to do so.
specifically for short term?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I think you're right, John. It's a complicated issue because I've had calls about it, and you're right that the state has preempted us and completely tied our hands on it and taken away
Yeah.
local control. So, but, you know, the more information, the better,
I'm
especially.
thinking like when I talked to Mr. Walker earlier, I think it's important that we, as the city, check those other 3 boxes before we give them our business tax receipt. Because otherwise, we're just giving them the business tax receipt and saying, well, we can't do anything about it, and we don't care. It's not that we don't care, we can't do anything about it, but we can not issue the BTR. We can at least make sure that they're legal. And so
I think support that.
I think that would be something that would be a step in the positive direction. And I think we just need to remind the people that live next to it that they have to comply with all the noise ordinances and all the other ordinances too. The complaints I get is,
Yeah.
late night noise. And so, but I don't think it would be any harm. And you might actually be educating the people that want to do the short-term rental. They may not know. I mean, I was in business for 20 years and didn't know I needed a county occupational license. So,
28 years, 29, right?
Well, the mayor of Daytona just walked in. We're talking about short-term rentals. You sure you want to be here? I think we have it a little bit better on that end here than I'm sure what you get over there, the phone calls, I mean. But yeah, I'm happy to look into that as well. I don't know where I'll come down on that one yet, but definitely worth looking into. So with that, we're going to end this workshop now, unless there's anything further. All right, we will adjourn the workshop, and we will meet